I saw this article, and Russia suffers setbacks as Ukraine braces for a tough month on the battlefield. Well, they're bracing for a tough month, but they've just endured one of the toughest months that they've have ever had. Remember, a month ago, they were on the back foot. Russia was on the ascendancy. They were attacking in Kharkiv. They couldn't strike back into Russia. Remember all that? Now, here's what's happened over the course of just a few short weeks. Russia has suffered multiple diplomatic and judicial blows during the past week over its war in Ukraine, despite President Vladimir Putin's high-profile visits to North Korea and Vietnam, and Moscow's claims that it's founding a Eurasian security architecture. Yes, this is Putin's ambition to recreate this Warsaw Pact-like structure that is a Eurasian security architecture that is led by Russia, and it's trying to make Russia relevant and kind of a superpower again. Russia would be the leader of this architecture, and that's exactly what Russia wants. Putin signed a comprehensive strategic treaty with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Then South Korea declared that it would consider lifting a ban on arms supply directly to Ukraine. And then Putin said that it would be a grave mistake if South Korea changed its policy on not supplying belligerents. But you had to know that that was going to happen. You had to understand that if you're cozying up to the North Koreans, the South Koreans, who are sworn enemies of the North Koreans, are going to not see that as a positive step, right? Either you can't see that, or you're trying to cause a war between North and South Korea. Now, Russia also suffered judicial embarrassments last week. The International Criminal Court at The Hague issued arrest warrants for Sergei Shoigu, who was just fired from his position, but, well, removed from his position, and Valery Gerasimov, because they've been targeting civilians and had strikes against civilian objects. And so they're also wanted by The Hague now. Now, on the same date, the European Court of Human Rights declared that Russia was in violation of several fundamental human rights in occupied territories. Like what? Like illegally detaining and torturing civilians, forcing them to obtain Russian passports, and many other violations. A day earlier, the EU announced a 14th package of sanctions against Russia. The EU also formally released 1.4 billion, that's billion with a B, in proceeds from Russian frozen assets to Ukraine. So it's been quite a turnaround from a month ago when it looked like Russia was just pummeling Ukraine to very slowly, incrementally, a lot of gains for Ukraine. Now, how has Russia's war effort gone? Well, Russia's been unable to make significant headway on the ground in Ukraine despite opening that new front in Kharkiv. And when they opened it up, it forced Ukrainians to move forces up there that they really didn't have to spare, but they moved them anyway, and now they're pushing them back out of Vovchansk. But the incursion also brought its own problems. So the U.S. shortly thereafter took the ban off of bombing inside of Russia, following Britain and France, and then Germany followed the U.S. lead, and so it really backfired on Russia. And the lifting of that partial ban has made a huge difference in the war on the Kharkiv front. The new rules of engagement appear to have stopped attacks using S-300 air defense missiles and Iranian Shahed drones completely. Glide bombs are still getting through. Now, because of policies that restricted the Ukrainians from using Western weapons, and partly because of cost, the Ukrainians have begun building as many of their own homegrown weapons as possible, and I think that's a really healthy thing for them moving forward. Okay, so that's a good comprehensive review of what's been happening in Ukraine over the last few weeks. That's all that I have, my friends. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.